But the internship is for human resources, which I got a little bit of experience at in my previous role as a manager, but definitely not enough experience to translate into kind of a more professional environment. So when I started, I was the follower. I was on the D1 spectrum. I had high commitment. I was really excited to start my internship because this is my last semester at KSU, and this counts as my senior capstone, so that was great. And I get class credit for it, and it was paid. So the commitment was there, but the skill set I found out after the very first day was definitely not there. And I think that my boss also knew this. So for the first month or so, I would say it was a huge challenge for me as a follower because I was getting a lot of direction, but I wasn't getting any coaching or any support. Looking back now, I know that that was definitely necessary to have the directional leadership, because without it, I wouldn't have been able to progress to the coaching. I think I'm definitely a D2 now, but it was very, I would say, beneficial for my supervisor as well, because if she wouldn't have been a directional leader, I wouldn't have been able to complete any of the tasks that she had given me. So it took a lot of firm dedication, a lot of very high set expectations, a lot of, I would say, micromanaging. Campbell mentioned that in one of the articles that we have referenced in our PowerPoint, that sometimes a directional leader may be mistaken as a micromanager, which many management theories, lots of leadership theories say to stay away from, because that might decrease the level of interest in the employee. But it's definitely necessary to adapt to that level in order for the employee to realize where he or she is going. So my experience with the internship definitely started out directional. I'm hoping I'll move to the supporting model at some point. But right now I'm in the coaching, so I'm a D2, as I said. My skill level has increased a little bit, but my commitment has definitely dropped. I think that might be a negative of the directional leadership method. Although you are going to increase productivity and you are going to be doing something to better enhance their skill set, there is a little bit of resentment, I would think, on the employee side. Because there isn't that support, there really isn't the constructive criticism, and you don't really get as much feedback in the directional leadership approach. But the whole point of it is you have to start out that way, because you have to give them as many tools to enhance their knowledge as possible. And if you were to throw in, say, a new employee the very first day and have that great relational, supportive leadership focus, it just wouldn't work, because they don't have the skill set, as obvious, you just started, and the commitment isn't at a realistic level. High commitment in the very beginning phases of a new job is, I would say, temporary, as it does fade, exhibit A being the D2 model when the follower has low commitment. But it will come back once you are able to establish the supporting, but it's definitely a process, and you definitely have to go through it to reach the delegating level, which is the high skill set, the high confidence, and the high commitment. Which ultimately, going back to my role at Mellow Mushroom, I started out as a server. I was able to get the directional leadership that I needed, then the coaching, finally the supportive, which was really important because it does give you a sense of purpose within your job. And then when you get to the delegating role, you're able to work at a very high level, and you do feel a high level of support, and you feel a high level of commitment, because you know that you've learned everything you needed to know, you've met all of the expectations, and you're able to do things on your own. And that's ultimately how I was able to transition into the management role and then transition into my internship now. So even though the situational approach has been highly debated and the directional approach is